Imagine an entire continent, one that was hidden beneath the ocean for millions upon millions of years. Not a legend passed down through generations, not a myth whispered by sailors, but a real, physical landmass, one that was once vibrant, teeming with life, and now lies buried under thousands of meters of cold, crushing seawater. For centuries, the very idea of it was dismissed as nonsense, a fantasy. The notion that another continent could be lurking beneath the waves sounded more like science fiction than serious science. But then, in 2017, everything changed. Scientists made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the geology world. They said, Zealandia is real, and it's been hiding in plain sight all along. This isn't just a few scattered islands. Zealandia is absolutely massive, stretching across nearly 5 million square kilometers of the Southwest Pacific. That's larger than the entire country of India. It's almost as big as Australia. And yet, around 94% of it is completely submerged, invisible to the naked eye, hidden beneath the endless blue of the ocean. It's now being recognized by many scientists as Earth's lost eighth continent, and it's forcing experts to rethink everything they thought they knew about Earth's surface. But here's the part that doesn't get enough attention. This isn't a brand new discovery. In fact, the clues to Zealandia's existence have been floating around for decades. So why did it take us until the 21st century to officially recognize it as a continent? Let's rewind the clock. For many years, geologists were puzzled by the structure of New Zealand and its surrounding islands. The rocks didn't match the typical signature of oceanic crust. They were different. They had the features of continental rock, older, thicker, and more complex. Not volcanic like typical ocean islands, but ancient and diverse, hinting at a long-lost origin. Some scientists speculated that these rocky fragments might be leftovers from Gondwana, the massive supercontinent that existed over 200 million years ago. Gondwana eventually broke apart to form Africa, South America, Antarctica, India, and Australia. But something didn't quite add up. Something seemed missing. That missing piece was Zealandia. With the help of modern tools like satellite gravity maps and advanced ocean floor drilling, scientists started connecting the dots. They realized the underwater ridges and plateaus in the region weren't just random formations. They were part of a continuous piece of continental crust, a continent almost entirely drowned. It was a revelation. Zealandia hadn't disappeared. It had simply sunk. Roughly 85 million years ago, it broke away from Gondwana and began to drift across the ocean. For tens of millions of years, Zealandia was above water, home to forests, ecosystems, and perhaps species we'll never fully understand. But as tectonic forces reshaped the planet, Zealandia slowly subsided beneath the sea. The rising ocean swallowed it bit by bit until just a few peaks, now known as New Zealand and New Caledonia, remained above water. In other words, when you hike across the rugged landscapes of New Zealand, you're walking on the final exposed edges of a sunken world. But what really defines a continent? It's not just size. Geologists look for 4 things: elevation above the surrounding area, distinctive geology, a crust thicker than the ocean floor, and clear boundaries. Zealandia meets all 4 criteria, yet it was ignored for decades, simply because most of it was underwater. When researchers finally came together and saw the full picture, the conclusion was unavoidable. In 2017, they published their findings, calling Zealandia Earth's 8th continent. And they didn't whisper it. They laid out the data boldly in a peer-reviewed scientific journal. The implications are enormous. Zealandia doesn't just alter our maps, it changes our understanding of evolution, climate, and plate tectonics. For years, scientists struggled to explain New Zealand's unique biodiversity. Now, the reason is clearer. Those species evolved in isolation, on their own continent. Some people call Zealandia the real-life Atlantis, but that's not entirely accurate. Atlantis is a legend. Zealandia is a geological reality, supported by rock samples, satellite data, and rigorous science. And the best part? This story is just getting started. Because while the discovery itself is incredible, what lies hidden beneath Zealandia's waters may be even more astonishing. What kinds of creatures once walked its surface? Could traces of early life or lost ecosystems be buried down there, untouched for millions of years? Could fossilized remains still exist beneath the sediment? And what if we've only uncovered a fraction of what Zealandia has to reveal? As new research expeditions launch and submersibles explore the deep ridges of this submerged world, the mystery only grows. So what really happened to this continent? Why did it sink? That question has haunted scientists ever since Zealandia was declared a continent. A landmass that once rose high above the waves, rich with life and connected to ancient Gondwana, now lies almost entirely beneath the ocean's surface. So what could have caused such a massive, slow motion collapse? The answer isn't just one dramatic event. It's a combination of tectonic movements, geological weaknesses, and the relentless forces of the Earth's interior reshaping the planet over millions of years. You see, around 85 million years ago, Zealandia began to drift away from Gondwana. At first, it stayed afloat. It was still thick enough and buoyant enough to remain above sea level. But as it drifted farther into thinner parts of the Earth's crust, the story began to change. Unlike other continents, Zealandia is unusually thin, on average just 20 to 30 kilometers thick. That's about 60% of the thickness of typical continental crust. It's like trying to keep a paper boat afloat in a stormy sea. Eventually, the weight and instability became too much. It began to sink, slowly, gradually. Not overnight, but over tens of millions of years. And it wasn't just the drifting. The crust itself was stretching and thinning. Tectonic plates moved underneath and around it, pulling Zealandia apart. Scientists believe that as the landmass rifted away, it became weaker. Some areas fractured, others sank deeper. Ocean water began to creep in. And over time, the proud continent that once stood above sea level was almost completely submerged. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Zealandia isn't done moving. Even today, the continent is still being reshaped by tectonic forces. The boundary between the Australian and Pacific plates runs right through it, creating constant geological tension. That tension leads to earthquakes, underwater volcanoes, and even further changes in elevation. Parts of Zealandia are rising, others are sinking further. It's a living, shifting reminder that continents are not static. They're alive in geological time. And while Zealandia's past is slowly coming into focus, its future remains uncertain. Could parts of it rise again one day? Might future earthquakes lift sections of the continent back above sea level? It's possible. And some areas are already showing signs of uplift. But while scientists debate its future, there's still a bigger mystery lurking below. What's actually down there? What secrets are hiding beneath thousands of meters of water and sediment? To find out, scientists have begun sending research ships to explore the area. One of the most ambitious missions was the 2017 expedition by the JOIDES Resolution, a drilling vessel that extracted core samples from deep below the ocean floor. What they found was stunning. Sediment layers stretching back over 100 million years, fossilized spores, pollen, and plant matter, evidence that Zealandia was once home to forests. Not just seaweed or algae, but land-based vegetation. That means this wasn't just a barren rock. It was a true continent, complete with soil, rivers, and ecosystems, a place where ancient life thrived. Some scientists believe Zealandia may have even harbored isolated species found nowhere else on Earth. Unique animals, strange plants, entire evolutionary branches lost when the continent slipped beneath the sea. Could any remnants of those life forms still be preserved? Could fossils be trapped in underwater cliffs or buried deep within rock layers? We simply don't know. But each new sample brings us closer to answers. The 2017 expedition also uncovered volcanic rocks, suggesting Zealandia experienced a long history of eruptions. This volcanic activity may have played a role in both shaping and destroying parts of the landmass. It also hints that Zealandia's geological past is far more active than we imagined. And then there's the question of human knowledge. How did we miss an entire continent for so long? Part of the answer lies in bias. For centuries, maps and models were built on what could be seen. If it wasn't visible, if it wasn't above water, it was ignored. Zealandia didn't fit the old definition of a continent. It was underwater. It didn't have a defined political identity. And so, for decades, it remained overlooked. But modern science is more precise. With satellite data, sonar mapping, and seafloor drilling, we can now build a picture of the Earth that goes far beyond what's visible. And when we do, the continents don't stop at the shorelines. They continue into the sea, revealing a hidden world just beneath the waves. And Zealandia is just the beginning. Its discovery has opened the door to the idea that more lost continents could be waiting to be found. Not mythical Atlantis-style stories, but real landmasses shaped by the Earth's chaotic history. Some scientists are already investigating other submerged regions that might qualify. The Earth is more mysterious than we ever imagined. So now, we return to Zealandia, no longer as a forgotten chunk of the seafloor, but as one of Earth's last true frontiers. The idea that we know everything about our planet, that illusion has cracked wide open because just beneath the ocean's surface lies a landscape we've barely begun to explore. Valleys deeper than the Grand Canyon, mountains taller than anything in Europe, plateaus, ridges, cliffs, and fractures, each one holding clues about Earth's hidden history. And Zealandia is right at the center of it. The next wave of exploration is already being planned. Scientists from around the world are preparing to launch new expeditions to study Zealandia's submerged terrain. Their goal? To map every inch of the continent's surface, to extract deeper core samples than ever before, and to unlock whatever secrets have remained buried for tens of millions of years. But it's not just about rocks. It's about the story those rocks can tell. And one of the biggest mysteries? Zealandia's biodiversity. If this continent was above sea level for millions of years, what kinds of animals lived there? What unique evolutionary paths might have emerged in total isolation? Could we one day find fossilized remains of ancient species preserved beneath the sediment? Imagine uncovering the bones of an unknown dinosaur species, one that lived and died on Zealandia long before it sank, or plant life so unique, so genetically distinct, that it rewrites our understanding of Southern Hemisphere evolution. This isn't just speculation, it's scientifically possible. In fact, some researchers believe that Zealandia could hold key answers about how species migrated, survived, or went extinct during periods of dramatic climate change. It might even help explain the origins of some of New Zealand's current wildlife, like the kiwi bird, whose ancestors may have roamed far wider than we thought. But there's also another layer to this story, one that's less about fossils and more about Earth's ancient past. Zealandia may help solve one of geology's biggest puzzles: how continents move. For years, scientists believed that continents drift slowly and steadily. But Zealandia's history suggests a more violent and chaotic process. The continent's crust shows signs of rapid stretching, sudden shifts, and unexpected patterns. It's like finding a puzzle piece that doesn't fit any known model. And that raises new questions. Could other continents have broken apart or sunk in ways we haven't yet discovered? Are there more Zealandias hiding beneath the world's oceans? And if so, what else have we overlooked? As we develop better technology, remote-operated vehicles, deep-sea submersibles, and ultra-precise mapping systems, we're beginning to see the ocean floor not as a blank slate, but as a rich and complex landscape. And just like we mapped Mars and the Moon, we're now mapping Zealandia, one section at a time. Some of the early 3D models have revealed breathtaking underwater scenery, sharp ridges, submerged plateaus, deep canyons that may have once held rivers or lakes. These formations didn't happen by accident. They were carved by time, by pressure, by volcanic activity, and shifting plates. Zealandia isn't just a continent, it's a geological diary, a frozen record of what Earth was doing over millions of years. Each rock layer is a page, each fossil a sentence, each fault line a twist in the plot. And yet, we're only beginning to flip through the pages. Over 90% of Zealandia is still uncharted. Scientists estimate that it could take decades to fully understand its shape, structure, and history. And in that time, we may find things that completely upend what we thought we knew about Earth. Already, the discovery of Zealandia has forced textbooks to be rewritten. The very definition of a continent was stretched to include this sunken mass. And that means we have to ask deeper questions. What if continents are not defined by visibility, but by geology? What if the continents we know are just the visible tips of something much larger, hidden beneath the seas? It's not just Zealandia anymore. It's the idea that the Earth's surface is still being written, still being revised, still being discovered. And in that rewriting, we begin to see a world far more mysterious and dynamic than we ever imagined. Not everyone agrees, of course. Some geologists argue that Zealandia still doesn't meet the traditional criteria, that it's too submerged, that it lacks clear continental crust separation. But others say that view is outdated, that it reflects an old way of thinking, one that underestimates the power of new data. The debate itself is part of the story, because what makes Zealandia important isn't just that it exists, it's that it challenges how we think about continents in the first place. And that's where this discovery goes from being a geological footnote to a major revelation. The Earth is not finished. It is alive, shifting, growing, breaking. Zealandia is a reminder of that. A ghost continent, hiding in plain sight, challenging everything we thought we knew. But perhaps the most astonishing part is this: its story isn't even close to finished. Because new research suggests Zealandia might not be as dormant as we once believed. Deep beneath its submerged crust, something is stirring. Some geologists suspect that Zealandia could still be geologically active, not just a static graveyard of tectonic memories, but a shifting, evolving slab of Earth's crust that continues to influence the region. Satellite data has revealed subtle uplifts, pressure changes, and unusual heat signatures across certain submerged areas. Could these be signs of hidden volcanic activity? Of tectonic plates grinding in silence beneath the ocean floor? If so, Zealandia isn't just a chapter from Earth's past, it's part of its present, and potentially its future. But what would it mean if a submerged continent was still alive, still moving? Could it rise again? Could volcanic activity one day force sections of Zealandia back above sea level? It sounds like science fiction, but there's a precedent. Entire islands have emerged from the sea due to volcanic eruptions, like Surtsey in Iceland or Hunga Tonga in the Pacific. Now imagine something on a far larger scale, the rebirth of a lost continent. Of course, that's a massive what if, but it shows how little we still understand, and just how powerful the forces beneath us truly are. Even without dramatic resurfacing, Zealandia plays a vital role in shaping the modern world. Its massive submerged landmass affects ocean currents, climate patterns, and even seismic activity in the South Pacific. In fact, the notorious Ring of Fire, one of the most geologically active regions on Earth, skirts the edges of Zealandia's drowned plateaus. The deep trenches and ridges that surround it are hotspots for earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. So studying Zealandia isn't just about rewriting maps. It's about understanding the threats and systems that influence life across the entire Pacific region. But it also sparks a more philosophical question. How many other Zealandias are out there? Could other lost continents lie beneath the waves waiting to be found? It's not a crazy idea. Scientists have already identified other microcontinents, like Mauritius, hidden beneath the Indian Ocean, or fragments near Madagascar and under the North Atlantic. These places are real. They were once dry land, and now they're invisible unless you know exactly where to look. Earth, it turns out, is full of lost lands. Fragments from ancient supercontinents like Gondwana and Pangaea, shattered, submerged, and scattered like puzzle pieces across the ocean floor. And Zealandia is just the beginning. It opens the door to an era of discovery that may redefine how we understand continents, geology, and even life itself. Because buried under all that water, in the pressure and cold of the abyss, are answers to questions we haven't even thought to ask. Some scientists believe we've mapped Mars in greater detail than our own ocean floors. And they're right. More than 80% of Earth's seafloor remains unmapped and unexplored, which means more than 80% of our planet's true surface is a mystery. Just imagine what could be hiding in that darkness. Ancient continents, fossils of species long forgotten, evidence of meteor impacts, megaquakes, and planetary transformations. Maybe even signs of early human migrations across land bridges that no longer exist. The discovery of Zealandia isn't just a scientific win, it's a wake-up call. A reminder that we live on a planet more alien than familiar. And that the greatest discoveries might still be waiting, not in space, but right here beneath our oceans. It's also a lesson in humility. For centuries, we assumed that everything worth knowing had already been found, that the age of exploration was over. But the seafloor tells a different story, one of lost worlds and shifting truths, one where continents can vanish, and only the most curious minds even think to look. The researchers who confirmed Zealandia didn't stumble upon it overnight. It took decades of collecting rock samples, analyzing sediment layers, running sonar scans, and diving into plate tectonic simulations. It took challenging conventional wisdom and pushing against scientific inertia. And in the end, they didn't just find a sunken landmass. They revealed how much more we have to learn. So, what comes next? More expeditions, deeper scans, international teams working together to piece together a story that spans millions of years. And as new findings emerge, one thing becomes clear. Zealandia isn't just a sunken continent. It's a symbol of what happens when we dare to look beyond the edge of the known world. A reminder that Earth's most incredible secrets are often right beneath our feet, or in this case, under 2 kilometers of water. What's truly exciting is that each question leads to more questions. The more we uncover, the more we realize how little we understand about our own planet. Zealandia has become more than just a scientific curiosity. It's now a beacon for a new kind of exploration, one that doesn't look to the stars first, but beneath the waves. A reminder that Earth still holds secrets, and that the unknown is not just above us, but right below. So, what does the future hold for Zealandia? Scientists are already designing new missions. Using ultra-deep drilling technology, they plan to extract sediment cores that reach farther back in time than any collected from the region before. These layers might hold the fossilized remains of microscopic organisms, ancient pollen, or traces of once living ecosystems that thrived before Zealandia sank. Even the magnetic patterns embedded in the rock can tell stories of Earth's shifting magnetic fields over tens of millions of years. And by piecing those fragments together, scientists can build a clearer timeline, not just of Zealandia, but of how the entire planet evolved. But beyond the data, there's something more intangible driving this exploration. A sense of wonder, a sense that something grand and forgotten still waits for us. After all, if an entire continent could slip below the surface without leaving much trace, what else could we have missed? Could we one day find ruins on an ancient shelf, the remnants of a shoreline now swallowed by time? Probably not buildings, but maybe tools, bones, markers, something to remind us that history is layered and not all of it is above sea level. And here's where things get even more fascinating. Some theorists believe that myths of lost lands like Atlantis might have been inspired by real geological events, massive shifts in sea level, land masses torn apart, coastlines erased. Could the discovery of Zealandia breathe new life into those stories? Maybe, maybe not. But it certainly proves one thing: the idea of a sunken world isn't as fictional as we once thought. Of course, Zealandia isn't Atlantis, but it doesn't need to be. Its reality is more powerful than any myth, because it shows how nature can outpace imagination, that continents don't always stay where we left them, that what is solid can become submerged, and that time, pressure, and the restless crust of our planet can erase what we once thought was permanent. For the scientists who study Zealandia, every expedition is a journey into deep time, a dive into an ancient world that no longer exists on the surface, but which still echoes beneath the waves. And the more we listen, the more it speaks, not in words, but in layers of stone, in mineral patterns, in silent topography. This is the Earth speaking to us across millions of years. And in that silence, we hear its message. Look deeper. Search longer. The story isn't over. It's evolving. And the ocean is its author. For the rest of us, those watching from the shores, from satellites, from screens, Zealandia invites us to rethink what we believe is known, to see the planet not as a fixed map, but as a living system. Continents aren't just lines on a globe. They're memories of collision, fragmentation, and rebirth. And in Zealandia's slow disappearance, we see the quiet power of geologic time, time that doesn't move by hours or days, but by eons, where mountains rise and vanish, where coastlines shift, where even continents can drown. But even when lost, They are not gone. They leave fingerprints in the rock, in the sea, in the stories of those willing to search. And that's the legacy of Zealandia, not just as a sunken mass, but as a testament to the mysteries still buried beneath our feet. As technology advances, we will continue to illuminate these underwater worlds. With sonar, robotics, satellite imaging, and AI assisted modeling, we'll peel back the veil of the deep. Every new scan could reveal a ridge, a fault, a structure we never knew existed. Every sample could rewrite a chapter of Earth's past. And maybe, just maybe, that understanding will change how we see ourselves. Because when we recognize how little of our own planet we've truly seen, we learn something humbling. We're still explorers, still beginners, still standing on the edge of discovery. Zealandia proves that mystery is not gone, it's just hidden. And sometimes, the most important truths are the ones we almost missed. So next time you look at a world map, remember what's missing. Think about the vast submerged land stretching across the South Pacific. Think about the scientists sailing over invisible borders, reading the rocks like ancient scripts, and realize that Earth is not finished. It is vast, dynamic, and still unveiling itself to those who dare to look deeper. Zealandia was lost. Now it's found. And yet the journey is far from over. Thank you for listening, and remember, the ocean still holds secrets we've only just begun to uncover.